Hey, and welcome to the Vergecast for the week of September 3rd, 2012. I'm Josh Topolsky.
I'm Neil Patel.
And
I'm Tom Warren.
yeah, he's Tom Warren, who is not, and he's not Paul Miller. Paul Miller is sitting this one out. He asked me to apologize to the viewers. He just doesn't know what happened this week, and so we couldn't allow him.
Also,
we have
everyone.
We have the entire. If you wanted to take out the whole Verge team right now, this is the week because they're all here in New York. All 50 plus members of the Verge team.
Yeah,
I know that number sounds exaggerated,
but we were all in a room today, and there was I couldn't.
Yeah, it's out of control.
I didn't know. I was like, wow.
And so Tom Warren is going to be joining us for the first half of this, and Dieter Bone, aka the Bone Zone, is going to be slided in for the second half.
Wow.
Woo! That is some X-rated. Red band trailer type stuff.
X-rated Vergecast.
Anyhow, but big news, big day, big week, and we're only, by the way, it's only Wednesday. Just wait till the announcement tomorrow of the Josh phone. Hey, why do we just fade out? That was weird. The Josh phone. It's got all the features you want, none of the ones that you don't want.
Yeah.
And it's going to be free on contract.
Yeah,
and it comes in 5 versions.
I forked
5
Android.
colors.
Forked
Android.
Obviously.
Anyhow, this is the show where we typically talk about what just happened. Is that were you trying to tell me something from the control room?
It's like John's very angry at us.
Oh well. This is the week. This is the show where we talk about the week in consumer technology and technology culture, and there's plenty of that to discuss. So we should just get right into it. I want to talk about the event that happened today, just ended. Amazon, huge event.
Yeah.
Amazon just introduced, well, really 4 new Kindles, 3 new Fires. I'll just run them down and then we'll talk through them.
Well, actually, we should do that, but we have Tom here to talk about Windows and that stuff, and then we're having people call us.
You want to wait? We're waiting to talk. Really?
Yeah.
Wish you'd
You
told
know
me
that they're there.
I wish you'd told me that before I started introing Amazon.
You just you were in a Josh place.
I was using the Josh phone.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
No, Ross,
all right, okay.
Ross and David are going to call us.
Why
from
would we
Amazon.
talk about the news that just happened? Let's talk about yesterday's news.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's
it's
true.
a hell of a week.
No, it's a hell of a week. Yesterday's news: Windows Phone onslaught.
Yeah.
We were at the Nokia, depending on who you are, or Nokia.
Which way do you go?
He says
I go
Nokia.
Nokia.
That is the
No. Listen, say it.
Nokia.
It's like Nokia.
Wow,
Nokia.
that actually to me
It's
is
not Nokia.
it's the least commit. It's
Nokia.
like all of them at once.
Yeah.
Nokia.
Nokia.
But
Straight to.
Nokia
Nokia.
announced a couple of new phones yesterday: the Lumia 920 and the 820, and a bunch of accessories and City Lens, and they showed off this great new camera technology.
Oh God.
Which
PureView.
We'll get through.
they didn't exactly show off. Where do you want to start, Tom? This is your
Yeah, you were there.
You have control
Tell
of the
us.
board. Where would you like to go first?
Let's start with the 920 because the 820 was kind of a sideshow. They announced it at the end. And
Is that how you really feel about it? It was a sideshow.
Yeah. I mean, it was
Okay.
right at the end. It was like, when we got
It was like a by the way.
They're
Yeah.
like, oh, we could do this cheaper.
It wasn't one more thing. It was, this is kind
It
of
was
this is the other one. Okay,
Another
bye.
thing.
Yeah, it was another thing.
This is another thing. So, all right,
So the 920. Yeah, so 4.5-inch display, PureView kind of. I mean, there's been a lot of controversy following the announcement.
Well, so just to be clear, so PureView up until this announcement was known as
The 808.
massive megapixel.
Massive images.
Massive images, and it was a Symbian. It was on a Symbian phone.
Yeah.
Is there a band called Massive Megapixel?
There is now.
There should be.
And so, but they introduced this thing yesterday. And I talked to Elop, and I asked him about this. I was like, so what's now you're calling PureView is both stabilization.
It's a combination of technology.
Yeah. It's like well, that's what we call our great camera tech or something. So, PureView, but it's only 8.7 megapixels. Right.
Yeah, but I mean,
and it has hardware and software stabilization.
Yeah,
which we'll get into that in a minute. Yeah,
that's the controversial bit.
it's a little controversial.
Yeah. I mean, great device. LTE, yeah. It's got I don't know what radio it's got in it, but it's got like every band.
A 1280 by 768 display.
Yep.
WXGA, I believe, is what that is.
That's right.
Or WXGA Plus. I don't
just-
know.
I think it's
WXJ. No price.
No
No-
availability.
Yeah, so let's. I mean,
No
look,
release date.
the brass
no
tacks here
carriers.
are, this phone
but
looks
it
amazing.
It runs Windows Phone 8.
It looks amazing. It runs this next version of Windows
Yep.
Phone, which
Which we still don't know.
and
much
by the way,
about.
that thing I just did where I said Windows and I paused and I realized I had to say phone happened all through the event, kind of. Like,
Yeah.
Microsoft has to figure that out. Anyway,
It's a real
but
problem.
It's this great phone. It looks amazing. Great design. This like classic like Nokia's like
Yeah.
design powerhouse. Great screen.
Yeah, the screen is good.
The screen looks really good.
We're gonna get
yeah,
into
yeah.
the controversial camera, but the camera looks like it's amazing.
Can I just say I
The
actually
controversy about the camera is not actually about the camera. It's about how Nokia is showing people the
It's the
camera.
promotion.
I would like to
so-
say that I saw the camera do what they tout it doing.
Yeah.
And it really works.
So that they
Yeah.
had a thing.
The thing that's confusing is that
Like, why they- so
is
we'll-
that they didn't tout it doing what it's really doing.
Right, and
Yeah.
just we'll talk about this at length, but just the setup is Nokia's been showing off demo pictures of the camera
Demo pictures and video
that are taken not by the camera.
that are
So that's-
not. Yeah.
I
and
don't know
they've
why
been found out. They've had to
yeah,
apologize.
so
and-
we should. Go into that in detail.
but we'll get into that.
The key
but-
of the phone
Yeah.
to me is this is amazing, all this great stuff.
Yeah.
and it's not real.
No, it's real.
it's
It's, not
real
vapor. It's not vaporware, but it's just like you know, Apple does this thing that I think is really powerful, where they get up on stage, they talk about their great new product.
Yeah.
You know, they highlight things that maybe you go, all right, well, everybody has that, but they're kind of playing it up, and then they're like, and it's available next week, or it's available today, and you're like, oh, well, I'm a little bit excited. I'm going to go buy it anyhow.
Yeah.
And I think that actually is like really effective, and I think it's a big deal. Like when you can say
But
we're
Nokia
shipping.
didn't even get half. They didn't say what carrier it's going to be on.
They didn't say what
Yeah.
carrier. They didn't say what price. They didn't say when.
There was a serious lack of information.
Right.
on
Well,
that
I
side
think
of things.
what's like a letdown is like, oh wow, I played with the phone a little bit before my interview with Elop, and he was holding it while we were talking, and like it's a really beautiful phone. It's like the new version of the OS seems to have made some reasonable strides forward. I mean, I feel like it's going to be pretty close to parity with its competition. At least that's what they've made us believe.
I hope so. Yeah.
From talking about
definitely.
Windows Phone 8, and LTE, dual core 1.5 gigahertz Snapdragon CPU, a gig of RAM. It's like fully stacked.
Yeah, it's got good
and the
specs.
hardware is fantastic. So I'm like, my thought is like, I'm ready to go on this.
Yeah.
Like I would be very tempted if they told me I could pre-order it yesterday and I'd get it like, mid-October or something, or,
Yeah,
later at the end of the month or something. I would be tempted, even in the shadow of the iPhone 5 and knowing that there's Nexuses. I really like the hardware a lot. Like I would just want to get, I mean, I kind of, look, I spend all of my extra money on crap like this. So like, that's the problem. But there's no opportunity. There's no chance to create that hype of like, oh my God, the pre-order. We've run out of pre-orders, or you can't even pre-order.
It's like when is it coming? Like we still don't know. We're hearing early November.
We don't know when it's coming. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't
what
know the
carrier.
price, what
We don't know
carriers.
the price. I mean, we can assume. I'll tell you. Okay. Here in the U.S., it'll be available on AT&T.
Yeah.
And Verizon.
and maybe in
No,
Verizon.
Verizon's been.
I think it's-
They
hinting at
hinted.
it.
All right, fine. It'll be available on AT&T and Verizon. I presume towards the end of October, around the launch of Windows 8. It'll be $199 on AT&T, and it'll be $299 on Verizon. No, I don't think it'll probably be $199.
I think $199 AT&T first couple of days of November. Probably good.
You think so?
Good guesstimate.
I mean, I'm
I'd
just
say.
guessing. No, I'm guessing. This is not actual. This is not factual information. I'm just, if I had to guess, they're doing Windows 8 and the Surface RT on October 26th or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
They
it's supposed to be
announced
25th, and then
Right.
like an evening midnight launch sort of thing.
So I know that they're trying to show these products as like a unified
Yeah.
whole. They said that Windows Phone 8 was going to be around.
Yeah,
Windows
it's
8.
always. I think that's always been the plan, but I think it's
Yeah.
slipped slightly because of the testing and stuff.
So, but I think we can make a educated
But
guess.
end of
Let's say
October,
early
November.
November, end of October. But
Yeah.
like they didn't. I don't know why they couldn't commit to that.
Yeah.
Did Samsung on the Ativ?
No, they
No.
were.
And Nokia went hard at Samsung.
Yeah, they made
Yeah.
Some, they made some jabs at them.
They were like, Samsung. Anybody can hold up a phone, but we've got the first working Windows Phone 8
Yeah,
device.
because
But
they
it's
didn't
not
turn
working
it
yet
on.
because the software isn't finished.
Yeah,
and
they
can't
wouldn't let
tell you
us.
when it's
They wouldn't
coming
let
out.
us. They wouldn't let anybody at the event play with it. Really.
Yeah.
No, I mean I got into some of the menus and got into like Angry Birds and
Yeah. No. I mean,
No, so
and then it was
actually,
like
let's talk about
whipped
that.
away. Yeah.
So Windows Phone 8. It's great they updated the hardware. If it was running last year's version of Windows Phone 7, I would still say don't buy it.
Yeah.
The software is the key, right?
Well, we think that there's going to be significant.
So, but you played with it a little bit. You know what's going on.
I mean, the thing we do know is the start screen. They've changed the tiles and stuff like that. They keep reiterating that. What we don't know really is like the feature parity, whether it's going to come up and be on par with iOS and Android. I'm hoping it will be. I mean, they seem to be the strategy of let's add like unique features in that other platforms don't have. But sometimes they're not really picking up on the basics that need to be in there, right?
Did they tweak the multitasking functionality? Didn't they kind of improve?
Well, they changed the whole kernel. So my expectation is that all of that stuff, which was here's Windows CE kernel, and then we try to build all this fancy new smartphone stuff, and it's a little slow, and there's like a level of abstraction. Well, that kind of sense of delay will go away because now it's like real.
Yeah, I mean, there were only a few places in the OS where that was.
I always felt like I was using a layer on top of C. There was always that sense
the
of...
native apps were okay.
The native apps were fine. No, the
fine.
native apps were great.
But they were pretty few and far between.
Yeah, but then you got into the third party and the scrolling got weird. And
But I think that a lot of that they cleared up with Mango, like the 7.5 update.
Some of the stuff.
Yeah, some of it. But it's still some of the apps are a little laggy. And
Yeah, but that's all better. Is that better? Is that not better?
It's well, we don't know. we really don't know. So
I mean, I played with it for like 2 minutes, and it seemed just like Windows Phone 7. I mean, it seemed in terms of smoothness, it didn't. But I didn't notice any weird stuff. But I didn't go deep on it, and they wouldn't let you go deep on it.
I think the biggest thing that they need to change, and I don't think it's going to happen, but is the multitasking. When you open up an app and you go back to the home screen, and then you reopen that app, it starts off a new instance, and that's just an odd behavior.
Right now there's 1,000 people in our chat screaming that that's not correct. I mean, I'm guessing
they're not.
I can't.
No, if Tom says it, it's true.
Tom's allowed to say.
If you
I
say it, you've been purchased
lying.
by Apple.
But we have been accused. Regardless, we've been accused of trying to take down Nokia at every turn.
We have. So look.
So
the phones are great.
That functionality.
Well, and I think Nokia is being held back by Microsoft here. Right? I mean, they can't. I don't think they can.
Well, they're being held back in the way that Samsung is being held back by
Samsung
Google.
is not being held back by Google. Samsung does whatever it wants.
I mean, they're not doing.
Samsung wasn't even held back by Microsoft. They announced the phone.
Yeah,
right
but they weren't allowed to really show it. It was kind of.
Well, I was just going to say that in the way that these carriers are like, well, not carriers. I'm sorry, that the manufacturers are
beholden
still
to
running
the software.
They're beholden to the software, and then but they're really being held back by the carriers probably more than anything. But you see these devices on gingerbread, and you're at like two versions later.
I get the sense that Samsung can be like. Samsung is this dominant force in the industry, right? I mean, they're Samsung. So they get to do whatever they want. They get to show up the Ative S, even though Microsoft probably doesn't want them to. And there's nothing Microsoft can do. Because if Nokia is great, but if Samsung doesn't also pump out 1,000 Windows Phone 8 devices, that whole ecosystem has a problem.
But I think also, like when you look at the audience, they showed off the Ative at IFA, which is an industry show.
Yeah.
It does not really that consumer facing. I mean, it is not. It is. We cover it. And other people cover it, and there's news out of it, but it's not like Nokia holding an event in New York and inviting all the press.
But again,
to
come.
it was an event in Berlin that they invited all the press to come.
Like, what are you talking?
It was a paper.
Did you see Samsung's event? They had a magician, for God's sake.
Zoll was there. Zoll's all grown up, and he's a magician now. It's really impressive.
I mean, like,
but
I think Nokia is
as well, right?
It was.
Yeah.
But I think Nokia is doing, arguably the best hardware work. Period, right? I mean, that stuff looks amazing.
Yes.
But they can't. Microsoft is scrambling. They've like stealth rebooted their entire phone platform again. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, it looks the same, but the entire inner workings are different.
The networking stack, the kernels are different.
Yeah. Right.
And from what I hear personally, is that they're having a few issues with that. And that's why it's delayed it slightly.
And the funny thing is that we wrote a report about this, which is... introducing Nokia again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like one of these things where Nokia keeps coming with, they were talking like a year and a half ago about Operation Rolling Thunder. I mean, when did they start talking about Rolling Thunder?
just before CES, wasn't it, for the Lumia 900?
Was it before CES? I
Yeah,
think
it
it was
was.
like, but it was like a couple of months before CES.
Yeah,
it was like
yeah.
with their some kind of whatever their European launch.
Yeah,
was
it was
some
like
things.
we've done the European launch and now it's Rolling Thunder.
Yeah,
CES.
right. Rolling Thunder, and then the Rolling Thunder CES, and then we waited.
And that was the Lumia
and then
900.
and then till right Lumia 900,
And the 710.
But then the 710
yeah.
like was released
Yeah.
Yeah.
silently, not Rolling Thunder. It just like showed up one day, and then their flagship phone came out, and then like a week later, they're like, "Oh, we're about to obsolete this with the new operating system," and then now like, "Hey, we have new phones," which is 6 months later. I mean, not even 6 months later, I don't think. And it just feels like Nokia keeps going like, "We're back," and then you forget that they exist, and then they're like, "We're back again."
I think this time
But-
though the hardware is a lot better.
The hardware's
Because
good.
it was
And the
really
900?
restricted on the.
No, yeah,
No.
that's it. Okay,
the
specs,
hardware is better. The specs are
Yeah.
better. I think the software is better.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got
Well,
improvements.
we don't fully
but we
know,
don't.
but-
We don't know, and
Yeah.
it also like obviously it's coming out soon.
Yeah.
But with them not sharing anything, it just feels like
I'm surprised.
what am I supposed to be excited about?
It was a joint event. Bulmer was there. I'm surprised they didn't have like more Windows Phone 8 features. Like we
Yeah,
covered a few
Belfiore was like,
before.
I've got some stuff to show you.
Oh my
It's
god!
like-
Can we talk
and
about
that's
this
like the little tiles, the big tiles. It's like that. Nobody
People
cares.
Hub. Belfiore showed off the People Hub,
Yeah.
integrating social networks.
which we've known since 2010.
That was the first thing they ever showed off.
This is they've been doing the People Hub demo since the first demo of the phone.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still demoing the People Hub. It's like, here's the thing. Demo something new. It's like Apple doesn't still talk about their amazing keyboard technology. They're like, yeah, we made a great keyboard, and now here's some. I'm not saying Apple's got all of the newest stuff, but like they do.
They're not
every
pinch to zoom in
every
the
time they
photos.
do, there's like something. They don't get the guy. They don't get, what's his name, Scott Forstall up and to talk about. I don't know what they were talking
it would
about.
be pinch to zoom.
Their keyboard, pinch to zoom,
That was
or
their key innovation, right?
or unified inbox, which they did like 2 versions ago in the email. It's just like.
And
You should be talking about something new, or you shouldn't be on stage.
they've got some really cool features as well. They could have just showed Skype dialing, integrated into Windows Phone.
They can't.
And that would have
They're still
excited people.
begging for a carrier to support them.
Right, because
yeah,
isn't AT&T
maybe.
going to say no way?
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
they did with FaceTime.
But I think they balanced it with their allowing the RCSC stuff, which allows the carriers to put in their own VoIP stuff
Great.
into the same like really solid integration.
I can't wait to accidentally start using AT&T's VoIP software. Let's talk about the controversy a little bit. But hey, I just want to say this. I know that right now people are thinking, these guys, here's that Windows is poison guy trying to do everything he can to destroy Microsoft and Nokia.
Yes.
But the truth is, like, we have a lot of excitement about these things.
Yeah.
It's just, what can you do with the excitement, but
Yeah.
wait for news and information about when you'll actually be able to see these devices.
And it's like you
there's
also
some-
kind of.
Go ahead.
I have the sense that they scheduled this event to just be
Before
ahead of the iPhone.
No, I mean, this is
Right?
I
Because
think-
when
I
they
think-
do announce now what happens, and we've all been through this before with every other company. It's you announce the thing, and now all we're going to talk about is guesses at prices, guesses at carriers. And when they actually do announce whatever it is, it's going to be like the world's saddest press release.
I actually think that's why, and we'll get to it. That's why Amazon's event was
Yeah.
so very different than what Motorola did
Yeah.
yesterday, and what Nokia did yesterday, and what most of these companies do when they do these events.
I think it's a bad strategy if you don't have a device that's ready to go and you're going to announce it. That you shouldn't be doing that.
If you
Not
don't have
now.
it, if you don't have a device you can put in the hands
You
of
can't do it
of
anymore.
a journalist and let them play with it for 10 minutes, your stuff isn't ready. You're just trying to get ahead of somebody, and that's not reacting to somebody else's launch is not a strategy.
No.
It's like it's a kind of strategy born out of fear. It's like scampering away from something that you're scared of, but it's not really a strategy. And like, no one who saw the Lumia yesterday, well, I shouldn't say no one, I can't generalize, but I think very few people are not like, yeah, this is cool, but let me see what Apple has next week, and then I'll make my decision. It's not like somebody saw the Lumia yesterday and said, that tears it. I'm getting the Lumia, no questions asked.
No.
I mean, I suppose there are some hardcore fanboys that might have done that, but I think most consumers or most people who are interested in getting a new phone, they're going to look at it. They're going to say, this looks cool, and now let me see what Apple has, and the decision's going to be made based on like what's shipping, what's like real,
Yeah.
what the features are. I mean, certainly if you can't buy it, you can't buy it. So.
No, I mean they could have done it better. They could have just waited until the iPhone 5 was announced and revealed it and reacted to that. You know, that would, if they'd have done it on September the 20th, you know,
You mean with a launch date.
yeah, with a launch date a couple of weeks
software
later,
and software that you could actually use.
yeah, that would have been good. I mean,
And they also could have been. I mean, maybe strategically it just would have been reacting to the iPhone. Nobody's interested.
yeah, but I think that's a better way because you got the attention, the media, the focus on new phones, and you can react and you know you can show off your own features.
Right.
So
But let's talk a little bit about the controversy, and then we should talk about Motorola
sure.
a little bit.
Well, yeah.
So go ahead.
I'm just pulling up the pages. So I think arguably the most interesting feature of this phone is the camera, right? And there's controversy already before the real controversy. There's like the first controversy, which is they're calling it a PureView camera.
Yeah.
Which was the brand they rolled out in February at Mobile World Congress.
Yep, 41 megapixels.
Yeah, they had this crazy 41 megapixel camera on a Symbian phone.
Yep.
And it's a great camera.
Yeah,
right? Like,
it is amazing. Like
Aaron Seporis on our staff,
Yeah.
he bought one because he's like, I love insane gadgets. It takes amazing pictures.
Yeah, that was an interesting
And it's
move.
crazy when you take a picture of like a drink and you can just zoom all the way in. It's just insane.
Right.
And then what do you see?
Well, froth. It was a bit.
Wow.
But it's a ridiculous. It's a ridiculous.
He's using it. He has it right now at the
Yeah.
office.
Yeah.
It's Symbian, and it's very strange.
I feel so bad.
It's just a camera, right? With Symbian on.
It's a camera that makes calls.
right. It's.
You know,
That's what it is.
basically.
And then Samsung's like, we should make the Galaxy camera.
Yeah.
And it's like the other way around. So there's controversy already because they said that the new Lumia 920 is going to have a PureView camera, but it's just an 8 megapixel camera.
8.7. 8.7
It's
megapixels.
extra
I mean,
7.
the funny part.
You know,
of
compared to
this-
41, that's like a rounding error. That's like you don't make it better.
Isn't 41 like an exaggerated? Isn't it that
No,
number?
that's the full right, but they interpolate it down. It's like it's 41, and then it generates 5 and 8 mostly, but you can
Right.
get 41 out of it.
I see. Right.
Look, whatever. It's not 41. Like the sensor is different, the technology is different. But they say, so Nokia says, well, look, PureView is our brand of cameras. It means that our cameras are really good.
Right. But it's still very confusing branding because one seems to mean something very specific, and the other means something
The
else.
other one's
totally.
Well, everyone just thinks it's the 41 megapixels, right?
Right.
Because
If
they-
you know,
Which is
if you
fair.
know of its existence, I think Nokia is kind of
Yeah.
betting on the fact that
Right.
very few people know of its existence.
No, true.
So anyway, so they do that, and then they show off the camera and they say, look, the key innovation with the 920's camera is that it has optical image stabilization, which most cameras have. Like it's what lets you take low light photos with point and shoot mostly. Most point and shoots have it. What lets DSLR lenses like Canons, Nikon, Sonys, they all have it. It's great. It's a proven great technology. It's awesome that Nokia shrunk it down to a phone.
Yep.
Great.
And by the way, when I came back from my my interview and I'd seen it
Yeah, that's true.
on the phone, I was like, it's really impressive.
This is really good.
And
So-
I even tweeted about it after when they announced it. I was like, I saw this and it's really impressive.
Right.
Well,
Because-
they had this thing at the event. They had like a hole in the wall, and you could stick the like your own device in there, take a picture because it was supposed to be replicating darkness. Well.
Yeah.
And then they do it, and you compare the results, and yeah, I mean it was
And
pretty
so
good
just,
results.
Just to be very clear on how this works, it's you get to hold the shutter open on the camera longer to let more
for more
light
light,
hit the
yeah.
sensor.
Right.
And because it's stabilized, it takes out the motion blur of
wobbly,
your hand.
Correct.
Like it's a very like it's not like
it's a
some-
rudimentary concept.
It's a bunch of springs.
What did
right?
he like
It's
say?
a-
It's like a floating lens.
It's floating.
Yeah, but they actually said little springs during the event.
Yeah.
It's a
and I was like,
floating-
that's not. You don't want to say little springs. Like that's
It's
maybe
a
the least
floating
high tech.
sensor.
It's a floating lens. So there's a mechanical component of stabilization, and then there's a software component that kind of
Right.
plays with it.
Yeah.
Plays nice with it.
Right. And the digital stable, like most phones have digital stabilization. It's not as good as actually.
And they
holding
actually
lenses.
showed me photos. They were like, "Here's it." Well, they showed me photos that were presumably like they. I mean, Elop
So-
said he said I want to say like in our meeting he said, "Here's a picture of taken with
Yeah.
the GS3,
Right.
and it was dark and grainy, and here's a picture taken with our camera, the same
Right.
shot."
So then they put out a video to show how great the camera is, and
Very charming,
the video is very
cute video.
And there's a scene of a man riding a bicycle, shooting a video of his girlfriend who's riding a bicycle next to him.
Yeah. Can we get this video
We can probably-
punched
yeah,
up?
well,
Wait to play our version until
Yeah.
So there you
But-
see the gentleman there. He's got the Lumia. He's filming his
and they show
girlfriend.
OIS off, and the video is all shaky, and they split screen it.
I just want to be clear. Let's be crystal clear. at no point in the video, and when the blog post went up on Nokia,
doesn't say simulated.
It doesn't say simulated screen images, simulated image capture,
it doesn't.
Change for effect or whatever. So they show him with the phone.
Yep.
Then they cut
Show
to
a shaky
Then
video.
they cut to a shot of like lower quality video. It's not what you saw before.
Yep.
It's lower quality video and it's very shaky.
And they say OIS on,
Right.
optical image stabilization on.
No, off.
That's off. The bad video is off.
Right. And then they cut to another video.
And
Which,
then
by the
it's
way,
like-
but hold on, that video also had a grainier kind of quality to it, a slightly more of a. It looked like the same quality video in terms of what it looked like. It didn't look like suddenly it switched to a different camera. That's what I'm
Right.
saying. Okay.
Yeah,
Here
yeah,
it's
And it said OIS on.
It was
and you're
dead
like,
smooth.
this is the same video shot with the stabilization on.
Yeah.
So that we can see how effective it is when
And
you're
then
riding a bike.
And then they drive by a van.
They drive by.
Or it's like an ice cream
They
stand.
drive by an ice cream stand with a very reflective screen,
Yeah.
reflective window. And TC Sadiq, one of our writers, noticed that in the video that is OIS on,
Yeah.
you can see a van riding next to the girl
With an open door.
with an open door,
And
with
there's a
with
guy
like a
holding a
lighting
rig.
rig and a guy
Massive
standing with
camera.
like a massive like DSLR.
we can just play it.
camera.
now.
Can we play the video? Let's see here. Let's get that up. Here we are.
Oh,
It's a little
man.
choppy. It's a little choppy here, but the details will be.
It's pretty
clear.
obvious what's going to happen.
Here they are. This
God,
is
they're
very trying.
having
Now
so
that's
much
now you see
fun.
that looks like a camera phone video. I mean, it looks a
Right.
little bit like. Okay,
Yeah.
there's the other video. This also looks like it's shot with the same thing. She's having a good time.
They're so in love.
So stabilized. I mean, she's doing this coy nail biting. And then what happened here?
How did they not catch
What
this?
is this right here?
Yeah.
Yes. It's so you can see. And for the people who just listen to the audio, I'm sure you enjoyed that. Us reacting to something you can't see. But so it's pretty.
So we put it up. So
we
it's
put it up
obvious
and
that's not a
we
phone,
said
right?
this is a cool technology.
And
Too
people
bad
and
that-
PC started getting death threats like, immediately.
I mean, can we just take a second to
and
address
the step back from reality to justify.
Can we
what's
just take
being
a
lied
second to address the kind of thinking that's going into some of the I don't want to spend too much time on our commenters because I do love our commenters. I love our forum members. They often contribute tremendous stuff, and I love what they do. But some of the attitudes, and I don't mean attitude, I just mean some of the attitudes that were exhibited in the comments of this post were very odd to me, and I'm trying to understand where they come from. Let me explain how I'm seeing it. Nokia manufactured a what I would call a deceptive advertisement for a feature they were touting as, one of the main features of this new product. They said, we're going to show you how it works, and it is amazing, right? So they did a video that we all watched, and we said, that is amazing. You watched it, and you said, that is awesome. I cannot wait to get that technology.
Yeah.
Then The Verge, whose job it is to report news, discovered that video wasn't being honest with you.
Wasn't what it looked like.
It wasn't what it looked like. And at no point had anybody ever told us it wasn't what it looked like, and had nobody had ever told you. And I suspect would not have ever told you had somebody not pointed this out, that they were filming with a professional camera, with professional lighting, with a professional rig, and telling you that it was from the camera that they want you to buy, the phone camera that they want you to buy. But the reaction from commenters, some of them, not all of them, some of them were very reasonable, of course, but some of the commenters were like mad at us.
Yeah.
There were a couple of reasons. One, they thought it was bad journalism for some reason.
Yes. For shame.
How we cracked
That's
the
in here a
case,
lot.
but then didn't have a reaction immediately from Nokia. We had reached out as we were writing the post. They hadn't gotten back to us. We weren't going to sit on it.
Yeah.
That's how it works in the real world when you have a little story. And they were also like kind of dismissive of the issue. Like they were sort of like, so what?
Yeah.
If they faked it.
And my favorite one was...
We believe enough that this is what it'll be like that it doesn't matter if they faked it.
And it's like they're just trying to show you what optical image stabilization is like.
Yeah, right. Like,
And it's like,
this is
this
what
technology is a decade old.
There's no. This is not.
Which would be fine if they hadn't showed the bike with the guy.
No, it would have been fine. It would have been fine if they made a video that was like, look at what wonders OIS can do. No phone.
Yeah.
They're just like, we're implementing this kind of technology in our new devices. Look how cool it is. And they showed a guy with a camera, a DSLR, and it was shaking, and then he turned on, his optical image stabilization, and suddenly it was very smooth. He'd be like, can't wait to get that in my phone. You wouldn't have said that. You'd have been like, why are they showing me an ad for a DSLR, of course. So, but like it's just such an odd reaction from the readers. Like,
anyway, so that happened. And then Nokia got back to us.
They got back to us.
They said it was never our intention to deceive anyone. We just wanted to demonstrate the benefits of optical image stabilization.
Sure.
We're now looking into updating the original video with a footnote, so it's clear the images are stimulated. And they clarified that they didn't shoot it with the Lumia 920, thus blowing up.
Oh, but people were people were dissecting, the image, like looking for, oh no, that's the phone, but it's in some sort of like people. There were people in comments
who thought there was a rig.
There were people in comments who literally said, with zero information, this is a demo. This is a prototype of the phone.
Yeah.
They were seeing this black box that was clearly the shape of a DSLR.
The black box looked to them like
no. This
dreams.
it's like a bread box version of the phone, and you guys don't understand. This is very. How could you report this when you know?
So
you're
then
wrong?
a little bit later, after that, Nokia issued a full apology.
For our. How could we? They were forced into it by the evil hand of the Verge. By the way, we like Nokia.
Yeah.
We don't have any problem with them.
Anyway,
we want their products to succeed.
The key line from the apology is the video was not shot with the Lumia 920 yet. Which implies that they're going to reshoot it.
They're going to reshoot it with a there's Heidi wrote this. So anyhow, then today.
Oh God.
So anyhow, so we're like, okay, the stabilization stuff was not real, but there are some really beautiful shots. This low light stuff is really impressive.
The low light stuff.
Let's be very clear. They say the video footage in the apology. We're sorry about the video footage. Not shot with the 920.
They don't say anything else beyond that. Yeah. And can I just say, I want to preface the next part by saying that when I went in for the interview with Elop, the night previous, I was going to tell a little anecdote from my life. Okay, the previous night, we'd had some friends over the house, and they were leaving, and a large spider, had spun an incredible web over our front door. I'm not making this up, by the way. This really happened. And it was like, the spider was in the middle of it, and it was huge. It was like this big. It was like a chunky... And by the way, we had just been to the spiders exhibit at the American Museum of Natural History. So I knew I'd learned all about spiders.
You'd taken one back.
I'd learned all about...
I was a spider expert.
I was a spider expert. I was basically Spider-Man, really.
Yeah.
You could, or at least a Spider-Man. But so I opened the door, and there's this massive web with this beautiful, huge spider in the center of it. And we're like, oh my God, we got to get some pictures of this, right?
Yeah.
So I pull out my Galaxy Nexus.
Oh God.
By the way, it's like 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Only street lights to light.
So I'm like, I'm the editor-in-chief of a tech blog. I own 100 cameras. So I pull out my Galaxy Nexus.
I didn't want to miss it.
There's like 3 Micro Four Thirds cameras upstairs.
There could be wind. There could be a gust. I was in the moment. This is what you want with your. This is why you want the phone on your camera for these moments. You've got the moment. You don't want to lose it. Anyhow, I started snapping photos. They were the most terrible-looking, grainiest, blurriest, garbage photos that I've ever seen. So terrible, so utterly garbage. I mean, I must say, so bad, just shameful. And I thought at that moment when I reviewed them after our friends had ducked underneath the web to leave because we didn't want to disturb it, I thought I have to get rid of this and get a phone with a real camera on it.
That's one of the reasons I don't have one of those.
And then the next morning I walked into to this interview, and that was the first thing he started showing me was these dark pictures of a Galaxy S3 and the lighter pictures of the PureView, and I was like, holy crap, this is like
there's
it's like
kind of like no
kismet.
doubt.
Like what are the odds that this is
There's
what we're this is my next.
Yeah. But right. But there's no reason for them to be faking this stuff. Like,
well, we don't know.
They want to show the dramatic
no
difference. Well, it seems like the.
All right, let's move on to the next. So the next deception, the great next.
Today, someone else is like, we got tipped a photo on Facebook of a model having her picture taken on a street in Helsinki in Finland, and it turns out it's obviously one of the stills from the video, and like there's a lighting rig, and there's like what looks like the lens of a DSLR poking out, and then other people are pointing out that all of the lens flares and the lights in the background, they're being because they're they look like stars, basically, the lights in the background. And you only get that effect when you take a big lens and you stop it down in aperture, right? And like that's how that effect is made.
Yeah.
Not from a phone camera.
Yeah.
And so, okay, so we're like, we put this up. Everyone gets mad at us again.
How dare you?
How dare
Once
you point
again,
out?
You don't know.
And now these are the stills, right?
Yeah. And they're also, were there people saying like, because you can't see the camera in this photo, right?
You can see the edge of the lens.
But you can't see that it's for
You
sure
can't see what it
a
is.
DSLR.
But you can see it. Damn
Could be a
lighting
bread-
rig.
could be a bread box.
Like the point is like
No,
you,
that's
in the dark, you take a picture, you hold the lens open longer.
This is the point,
or you hold
by
the
the way.
shutter open longer.
By the
and
way-
you get more light in the lens. Not this is like having a lighting rig.
Can I just say, this goes back to the original point that I was making about the video, which is, let's say that they were using a prototype version of the camera from the phone, right? It was supposed to be a guy holding it with one hand riding a bike. It was not supposed to be a van with a lighting rig and a professional photographer inside of it rolling along next to the bike rider. So this is the crux of the issue, really. Let's say it's the phone. It's fine if it's the phone. The problem is the lighting rig and the makeup artist. Well, the makeup artists are fine. Let's just say the lighting rig and all of the other lights that are meant to like make it look very bright and well lit. When your whole premise is we are going to make a dark scene look better because of our camera technology.
When they responded to the original video, they posted an updated video which was actual raw footage.
Yeah,
which
and that
is,
looked
like,
good.
Fine. It
Well,
was
that's
great.
the
so
confusing
then they
part.
responded today.
So
they
then
confirm once again that the still photos were not taken by a 920.
They do have some out there though.
They do,
actually
and
taking
so they
that
say it shows this photo shows a production setup being used for the video, which we've already apologized for. 920 was not used to illustrate the benefits of optical image stabilization, and we regret the error. However,
just,
we've posted some other pictures from Central Park that we're using in Lumia 920 and no artificial lighting. Their authenticity is not in question.
And
it's like-
at this point, I mean, I'm not saying it is, but you know,
And what's funny
Fool
about
me
all
once,
this
shame
is
on-
like, why
shame
didn't you
on
just
me.
do it
Shame
the
on you.
first time?
I mean, shame on me.
Like nobody.
What is it? I'm like Bush. Which one is it? Fool me once, shame on you.
You fool me twice.
So shame on me.
Yeah.
Fool me 3 times, I'm gonna kill you.
But you'll be so confused.
I don't know. I don't know who to go after.
Clearly, they'd be able to fool you into not
but
killing them.
look, they're not bad guys. They did what
How
marketing.
do you blow this? How do you blow this?
No, I'll tell you how they
How
blow
does
it.
anyone
I think
we're
it was
making a
whoever
demo?
their video guys were.
No,
right?
is their
Like,
marketing people
the
were like,
marketing guys,
we're
yeah.
gonna do a great video. It's gonna be cute. You know, we'll have actors, blah blah blah. And of course, Nokia's like, yeah, that's what we do. They probably didn't have the phones ready in time, but with the lead time you need to actually shoot it, they probably didn't have production versions.
So rushing to beat Apple means I had to lie about their core technology.
basically, yeah.
Is that what happened?
I mean, pretty
that
much.
sucks. Like, let's
I agree.
rush to show off a
I
phone that
agree.
isn't ready, that doesn't have a ship date, that doesn't have a price, that doesn't have a carrier, so we can beat Apple. And in order to beat Apple and say our camera's better, we have to lie about our camera.
And here's what's sad. Here's what's
Good
really
plan,
Here's what's
Nokia.
really sad about it is when you show off your killer camera technology, as Apple often does at their events. What do they always say? They're like, these aren't retouched photos.
Yeah.
And Google does the same thing when they did the Galaxy Nexus. Actually, I had to go back and do some research on that.
Everything was zero shutter lag. It wasn't
There
how
was zero,
great
zero
it
shutter
was.
lag, and they also showed, like, Matthias showed me photos that I thought were incredible. The Galaxy Nexus actually worked quite well in bright daylight.
Yeah.
It looks great.
Yeah.
But don't ever take it anywhere besides bright daylight. But
They should just post original photos from the camera. Just do it now. Just,
Yeah,
just
it's
like
they
full,
are.
like full,
Full
resolution.
resolution.
I
But
agree.
Maybe they should let some real
just
humans
do
use
it,
it.
like-
But I do think that the point is that Apple always is like, we didn't touch these. These are these aren't retouched. Blah,
Yeah,
blah,
and,
blah.
and,
they
and
did
Apple
show
puts them
one-
up, and you can get the EXIF data. Like
Right.
you can
Yeah.
fake all that stuff, but at least they're like
They
helping.
did show one giant one on the screen from Kevin Shields from his own, like it was a baseball game or
Yeah, no, it was a
game or
football
something.
game.
Yeah,
the
football
Maple
game.
Cup.
Yeah. And
Which, by the
was,
way,
like,
that story
huge.
was very strange when he was telling it. He's like, I
Yeah.
tried to take my son to a soccer game in Finland, but it turned out it was the
It's
Super Bowl of American football. And like, how do you? Is this how you end up? You just don't know what's going on, and they're like, "We're going to use this other camera." And you're like, "That's the same as soccer."
so sorry,
just pulled
Kevin
out.
Shields is also the guy from My Bloody Valentine, right?
Yes,
I just want to be
Same
clear.
guy.
Who is the other? Isn't there another guy in the tech industry who has a name that is the same name as a person, a musician? Who am I thinking of?
Tim Armstrong,
Oh, Tim Armstrong.
From
That is who I'm
Rancid.
thinking of.
Yeah.
Tim Armstrong from Rancid and AOL.
our old CEO.
I thought
that
Kevin
guy.
Shields and Tim Armstrong work together on a like a super group.
All right. Tom, so it's sad that we spent any time talking about this.
Sad
we
but
should have.
true.
It's true. Like they lied a bunch.
Yeah, I guess the point is, I like what Nokia is doing. I think that they have really interesting new products. I want them to succeed. I feel like they're trying really hard to do something original. I think that their product design is brilliant. I don't think they had to. It didn't have to be this way.
Yeah,
it didn't have to be this way. You could have just shown us some still shots and a little bit of handheld video that was like, some of the stuff where they were doing at the event where they were doing this and it was like totally stable. They actually shot stuff at the event like that. That would have been convincing enough.
Yeah.
We didn't need the cute girl on the bike. I mean,
just do that demo for real.
It's okay.
The thing is like. Maybe they tried to do it with like it's open for interpretation. Maybe they tried to do it with the phone and just didn't work.
If you watch the video that Vlad did, the report, there's a lot of sort of cut away to the sort of PureView tech, and you can see it being demonstrated there, and it is impressive, definitely.
Yeah.
No, it works.
Yeah. It
so
does.
wrap this up. What's your take on the state of Nokia and Microsoft and Windows Phone 8 after this?
Cam, how long have we been talking about this?
For a long time.
Oh, yeah, like an hour.
Well, I think they've also got the two devices, but we know there's more. So these two are like the high and medium.
What's coming?
So they've got they got a couple of low ends coming, and then they've got the Atlas and the Zeal.
What's the Atlas?
Atlas is their 920 on Verizon.
Oh right, what's the 920? So, it'll be a 920, but it'll be extra ugly.
Yeah,
Verizon has a mandate to make the ugliest phones. Isn't that their thing? They're like, oh, great design. Let me show you how it can be improved. So, like, junior designer is like, he's like, I have an idea. Can you put a bump on the back in an odd shape and make it red?
I'm interested to see how that looks, if it looks any different.
I hope it doesn't.
I hope it doesn't.
I really hope it doesn't.
I mean, my impressions when I played with the 920 is great looking. It's very similar to the 900, except for you've obviously got the curved display.
A little bit bigger.
A little bit bigger, but it's a little bit weightier. I did notice that. I don't know. That's probably to do with the wireless charging, and
it's extra.
And they've got a massive radio in there as well.
And
double cores,
and a big battery.
That's a big battery, 2000. So there's different factors.
I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm cautiously excited about it. I don't want to get.
I'd like them to do a 4-inch. Because I like using a 4-inch phone or close to that. I don't like 4.5, 4.7, or even 4.3.
I do think the phone is larger. Holding them next to each other, it's larger than the Lumia 900.
Yeah,
it's like physically larger.
Yeah.
I do think phones have gotten too large. But I will say that I've been going back and forth between the iPhone and the Galaxy Nexus, particularly in anticipation of the new iPhone. I do feel the 3.5 seems so small now.
Yeah, if you pick up an iPhone after you used a Nexus, it's just like.
But the Nexus
weird.
also seems like about a
little
bit too big. It's like,
but it's okay because it's thin, right?
But yeah,
and it's plasticky.
But if it were like 4.3, I feel like it would just be fantastic.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that range. I always thought 4, the Atrix. I thought the 4-inch screen on the Atrix.
On the first set of Galaxies, right?
The first place I saw a 4-inch screen was the Atrix, which I thought was brilliant.
I think the first. They had terrible screens, so who cares?
Doesn't matter.
But if you have a thin device, which is 4-inch,
now you're saying thin.
Yeah, like thin. Like the 900 and the 920 aren't particularly thin.
Right.
They feel pretty solid in the hand, which is a good thing.
They're not. It's not a thin phone.
No.
It's not lean. Like they're not going for, hey, look how lean we made it.
No. But the thinner you get it, the easier it is in one-handed operation.
Yeah, but if you make it thinner, you lower the surface area of yellow.
Yeah.
I mean, that phone is like, look at how yellow it is.
No, that phone's cool. The yellow is cool. It's not like a normal yellow. It's like a neon greenish yellow. It's really cool looking.
Yeah.
I love the colors they're doing. Also, they did this. I like the coating of the Lumia 900, but they did like a high gloss. It's almost like a shellacked kind of thing on the new ones, and it's pretty cool. They're pretty futuristic. I mean, I have to say, they look like where we should be going with phones, in my opinion. Like from an industrial design standpoint, they are doing away with this BS of like, silver rims and, glass everywhere. And it's like metal and glass, like I get it, but like there's something way more playful about these designs, and I just think something that's like a lot more human about them.
Yeah.
I really like the way they're designing their phones. I really like the color stuff they're doing. I think their accessories
if only they were in stock.
I think their accessories look really, really good. Oh, I mean I have to say, like, I feel like these phones are just begging. The 920 is just begging for stock.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's got everything it needs.
It's got an S4, right? So
yeah,
could happen.
Well, could it happen?
Well,
No.
the way that they've done it is there's new boot technology and stuff for Windows Phone 8, so it's probably locked down.
It's even got it's 1280 by 768, so you've got a few extra pixels.
Yeah.
Here and there. I feel like
I'm sure someone will do it.
You think so?
Probably. If they can get past Microsoft's protection, which people usually do. So.
it's just gonna end up being really hacky though.
Yeah.
Of course.
It's not gonna be like a
it'd be like
flawless
the touchpad
product.
on ICS, right?
Yeah, it doesn't sound great to me.
No.
I don't want that on a phone.
No.
Yeah.
True.
All right, so are we talking about Moto, or are we going to shuffle in Dieter from Moto?
Yeah. Let's bring in Data.
All right, Tom, thank you.
Thank you.
It's good having you.
I don't know if
you
I
should
can
be around more
I
often.
don't know if I can reach.
You you can say the things I think about Microsoft, but
it's
nobody gets
great.
mad at you for saying them.
Yeah. Well,
It's amazing.
No.
They don't always do the
No.
best.
Everybody knows Tom has been turned by the Verge and
Yeah.
tainted.
You have turned me.
And
I'm a Microsoft hater.
honestly, Microsoft guys.
I think one
chill
last
out.
thing is if they announced those devices yesterday and they shipped them at the end of the month, things would be a lot different. I
Yeah.
think.
No, I agree. But now it's
It's not
like,
happening.
But
We're
now
not even
it's
close
like
to that.
early
Who knows?
November, and it's
Right.
like,
Yeah.
we'll see.
we're not even close to shipping by the end at the end of this month.
No.
You're talking about November.
Yeah, it's November.
Basically.
Yeah.
That's a long ways away.
Yeah.
Here's what's going to
And
happen.
things
Here's what's going to
change in
happen
2
in
months.
the time from now till then. New iPhone,
Yep.
probably a new Nexus
Nexus,
of some
yeah.
type. I mean, they did the last Nexus on October 19th.
And that's
October's just around the corner.
Yeah.
And that's usually the year mark is when they do it. Who else? Does anybody else have phones in store? I mean, HTC is going to do new
HTC
phones.
is
They've
in
got an
it.
event on the 19th.
yeah. That's probably Android and Windows Phone 8. I
Yeah.
expect.
So they've got new devices as well.
Yeah.
So there's going to be plenty of competition.
It'd be interesting to see how it plays in with HTC and Windows Phone 8.
Right.
Like how they manage.
I've
that.
heard HTC's Windows Phone 8. God. HTC's Windows Phone
Windows 8 phone.
devices are kind of like great. I
I've
don't know
heard-
much about them. I've just heard.
I've
people are very
also
excited
heard
about
We
from
know there's
sources
two.
familiar with the matter that HTC's phones
HTC.
are their Windows 8 phones are contenders. Windows Phone 8
Yeah.
phones.
Beats and
I will say that I think
stuff.
Microsoft and Nokia, if they've got to convince everybody that this is viable.
Yeah.
And if they don't this time around, like I don't think HTC can run around devoting resources. I mean, they're struggling anyway.
Yeah.
2 words.
I don't think they can run around devoting resources.
2
to
words.
this. I don't know that Samsung and LG are going to keep hanging around.
Surface phone.
Maybe.
Imagine.
All right, get out.
They don't need
Yeah.
to though.
Yeah. They got
say-
Nokia.
Yeah, exactly.
Why didn't they
That
make
is a
They're
Surface
not.
phone.
They're not. All right, we got to get Dieter in here.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't mean to kick you out. You're a wonderful man.
Sure. Bye bye.
Sure. You got
Bye.
the thing in your ear.
Bye, Tom.
Yeah. Do
you
I
gotta
need to take it off?
Yeah.
Is Dieter sharing that with you? I feel like that's somewhat unsanitary. Can we get a tech in here? God, this
Can we
is not
get
going
a tech in here?
not going as smoothly as I thought it would.
It's what I
I'll just unplug it.
told you.
There you go.
No, so Nilay, by the way, Nilay insisted
your
we
room.
get these microphones back.
I hated
We
the
were
other
doing lav
microphones.
mics for the last one, and which I think is better because you don't have this microphone in front of your face and you don't
Sounded
have to worry
awful.
about
Looked weird.
where's the microphone, where's my head. Like I'd like to lean back. I can't do it. You can't hear me. You can't hear a word I'm saying, can you?
I like
Sorry.
to lean back.
Oh, I'd like.
I'm pretty sure
I'd like to have the option of leaning back, but it's not doable with these stupid
Yeah.
microphones.
I'm sorry that you can't relax.
Anyhow, while we're waiting for Dieter to join us,
Yeah.
Dieter Bone, what else is going on? What's going on in our chat? Tell us what's happening. What are those people saying?
They just love Tom.
Tom is great.
Yeah.
Tom is great. He says Finn for thin. I'm saying it's like I don't know what you're talking about. 3D,
Yeah.
HD,
Yeah.
and Finn.
Yeah.
He says other words wrong too.
It's yeah.
Not
we
wrong.
should a Vlad Tom mix. Have you ever had a conversation with Vlad and Tom?
I
at
can
the same
barely
time?
understand anything that Vlad is saying. I mean, he is impossible to understand.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, every time he's talking to me, I hear sounds, but
Vlad has this new trick. So we're
Can't make
all
it out.
together in the office, all 50 plus of us.
yeah,
And every now and again, I'll just feel a very strong pair of hands give me a back massage.
he's got strong hands.
That is the best part of having Vlad around.
Yeah, he's great. He does push-ups. So we were talking about push-up strategy.
You have a push-up strategy?
No, he has one, and he was telling me about it. Any questions from the chat room while we're here?
Well, now everyone wants to know about the push-up strategy.
It's just he does push-ups whenever possible. He'll do like drop and do 5. He'll drop and do 5 whenever possible. I'm surprised he doesn't talk about this on the mobile show.
Sure he does.
No. He told me that he was an IFA. I don't want to steal a story from him, but he told me he was an IFA.
Yeah.
And he drank some milk, and then he realized that it was actually cream that he was drinking.
Oh my God.
And he's lactose intolerant. You're really learning a lot about Vlad. I'm sure he didn't want me to share with you. And he was like, I was like, what happened? He was like, oh, I did a few push-ups and went on my way. I was like, to what? To rid your body of the cream, or like what? Like, how does that work? And yeah, he's great. He's great. The whole crew is here. I just want to say, like, it's so great.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I mean, there are people I've never met in person before.
You met me before.
Like Dieter. Who's this guy? You just slid right into that, as I said you would. But it's great. Like, I'm so psyched. I'm so psyched about this team, and and we got such cool stuff.
And we've it's been fun. Like, we all actually, Ross and David Pierce and Jordan, one of our video guys, they're all at the Amazon event in LA.
They had to go to the Amazon. I wanted to go, but we couldn't do it.
A chunk of our crew was like covering the event in New York today, and we're all sitting around the ping pong table on the sales side of the office.
Cool.
And I was like, this is like it. Like, we have like a startup, and like this is the moment. Like,
sales had to.
We kicked all the sales.
We have
guys
so many
out.
people.
Sales had to leave the office. We had to put them.
I don't know where they are.
We had to send them away to another office because we have so many people. Sales sits on one side of the office. There's literally a physical wall between the sales side and the editorial side. But we had to move them out, and now the office is full of editorial. Verge editorial.
It's full of the people it should be full of.
And we're moving to a new office very soon.
Yeah.
Which will have a lot more space.
Okay, so here's the deal.
What?
You went to Motorola yesterday.
I did.
You went to Moto.
But we've got the guys at Amazon.
Oh, we gotta go.
Ready to come in. So
okay,
let's do that
we're live post Amazon, the post Amazon glow.
Yeah.
Who do we have? Ross and David.
Yeah.
Oh, look at these
wow.
guys.
Very pro.
This is pro as hell. Can you
guys
hear us?
We can't hear you.
We can't hear you. It was pro up until the point where we couldn't hear
I mean,
you.
they look very.
You're talking to an iPhone. Is that the?
What is that?
Oh, there they are. Hello.
That's how they hear us. They've called in.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Hello?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Yeah.
A little bit of a delay.
Oh, beautiful. You guys sound lovely.
Is there
You
a
sound
plane?
wonderful.
Is there a plane flying by you right now?
They're in an airplane.
Yes, Amazon's event is actually in a hangar. Yeah, we're in a Barksfield hangar. Is that what?
Something like that.
Yeah,
there are
something
a
like that.
million planes flying by us at all times.
Wow.
Sonic booms all over the place.
Yeah,
it was a madhouse.
A little bit of a kind of a bad planning on their part,
Yeah.
isn't it? Can we get these guys up on the screen back here, by the way? What is it? What's going on in the control room that you can't? There they are. Look at that.
Yeah.
So
this
you
feels
guys.
very unfair. We cannot see you at all. We're just looking at a lens.
Well, we're full. We're all
we hear you
fully
great,
nude.
But this is just so nice.
We're 100% nude in here. And can you?
All right, so there's Josh naked, Neil naked. Who else is naked?
Dieter's here, and he's naked. This background noise is
thank you,
insane.
Dieter.
Is there
That's actually
anything-
what I picture every time.
Is there anything we can do about the background noise, folks?
No.
How about like a gate? Do you have a
don't
gate?
think so.
Noise gate?
Let's ask them what happened at this event today.
All right, talk about the Amazon event, guys.
All right, you want to go first?
Sure. So it was a bunch of things. The announcement took forever, and I've never seen Jeff Bezos so excited. But the big things were the new Kindle, the Kindle Paperwhite, and two new Kindle Fire HDs, a 7-inch and an 8.9-inch. They updated some of the older stuff, but it's not particularly interesting. It feels like they just have kind of extra hardware they need to sell.
There is notable stuff. The spec boost of the original Fire, they're going to continue to sell that at $159.
Yep.
They're going to do the Paperwhite Kindle. Not Kindle, sorry. The $79 Kindle is now the $69 Kindle. It's the same thing, a little bit of a different coat of paint on it. It's still the lowest tier barrier of entry for buying Amazon content. And that's, that was the point that Jeff Bezos wanted to make is, we have great hardware, but we really just want to sell you things over and over and over again for years to come.
Well,
Yeah.
But then at the same time, this whole thing felt more like a technological achievement than any of their events I've seen before.
It was
It's normally
definitely
like
more impressive.
they want to talk about their software, and every time they just keep coming back to Amazon Prime. But it was much more about, like, look at this great thing we've built. And he talked forever about having two antennas and all the interesting Wi-Fi.
That was hilarious,
and it
by
was
the
like,
way.
this was the first time I've ever felt like they're a huge hardware company.
Yeah,
It was bizarre.
we were talking about this at the office. We had a big kind of like round table, like, what does this all mean? And it definitely felt like Amazon was saying, like, we're a consumer electronics company now.
Yeah.
Like, we're making consumer technology. Like, it's not just about, hey, we thought we'd try a color Kindle and see how it does. Like, I think that was the first one. They were kind of like an experiment. Now it seems like they're really saying, we are what Apple is. We are what Microsoft is.
Yeah, we can make hardware that's competitive with Apple.
We can do what Samsung does. Like, we're making real hardware with real innovation. I mean, I don't know how much real innovation there is here. I mean, there's
Well, so the
familiar.
Mimo thing, I thought, and you guys were there, so tell me if this is true. But to me, it was they, and Tim Carmody on our team said this too. They just needed to produce a slide that had some metric that was quantifiably better than the iPad.
Yeah.
And the one they picked was our Wi-Fi speeds are faster.
But then he talked about it for like 15 minutes.
A really long, let's explain Mimo technology.
Well, I mean,
Mimo is a commodity technology.
But you do want...
You can go to Best Buy and buy those routers today.
But if there is demonstrable differences between the speed of the Wi-Fi on an iPad 3 or new... Did they call it the iPad 3, by the way?
They did.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they did. Or that's odd, by the way. or the... And the Kindle...
Yeah.
The Kindle Fire HD.
No one's sitting around complaining about their Wi-Fi speeds on the iPad.
Well...
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing that... It seemed to me, like, and Ross, I don't know if you had this opinion too, but it seemed like this whole thing was more a veiled shot at the iPad than anything else. Because they even talking about, like, oh, we have these stereo speakers, which is legitimately a really great innovation if they've pulled it off. But they show, like, this is what most tablets have. And they could have showed anything on the planet, and they slide down the bottom part of an iPad.
Well, of course, because if Amazon's entering the hardware system, it's like, we're going to shoot for the big top.
Well,
we
they did this stuff.
Speaker, our #1 competitor. I mean,
they did this stuff with the
$499
Sorry,
tablet.
they did this the screen.
It's the iPad.
They did the stuff with the screen where they were saying our treatment is less glare. They showed this stuff, this cutaway of the iPad.
Yeah, so let me ask you about that. Let me ask you about the screens on this stuff. Two different screen technologies are interesting from Amazon: the Paperwhite stuff, and then the Fire HD screen. So let's start with the Fire. Is it good? Is it bad? I mean, they went on and on about it. You know, the iPad doesn't have a laminated screen, and they were like, "This is a laminated screen." So that's like already one place where they're better. I mean, is it better?
I think it's good. The screen is really good. It's the reflection stuff. I think it's weird that they spent so much time on, because to me, like, my iPad screen is so obscenely reflective that 25% better is still, like, obscenely reflective. And these are too. Like, you can see in the videos and the photos that we have that, like, it might be better, sure, but, like, if there's a light over me, I still can't see a thing on the screen.
You can still see it bouncing off.
Yeah.
Right. But beyond that, the screens look fantastic. The 8.9 inch with the 1920 by 1200 display is amazing. It's
What's the resolution on the 7?
Yeah, what's the resolution? Is it the same resolution, or is it?
It's 1280 by 800.
Okay.
Oh, interesting. So it is a little bit, and so talk about.
And they really avoid talking about that.
But it is
Well,
it is
you know what
HD.
else they avoid
I mean,
talking about is they didn't brand anything. Like they could have, given written a optical something to name the screen, or even their Wi-Fi technology.
Yeah.
They could have slapped cutesy names like Sony and Samsung and Apple do to all the different components, and they just said, here are the specs.
Prime Wi-Fi.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Prime.
Their branding
Prime
is
5.
always all of Amazon's branding was like, rooted to the ecosystem. It's WhisperSync. WhisperSync is now a much bigger thing for them. It encompasses all their cloud strategy for like going from one device to the next. I think that's what they care about. They're branding the content, the ecosystem, which we've heard so much from IFA last week with Sony and Samsung. Obviously Microsoft's playing a big play on ecosystem. Amazon's come out saying we have the content, and now we're going to make way more compelling hardware to go with it.
So can you talk a little bit about what do these products feel like? Like, what are they? Did you pick up the 8.9 inch and think like, I could live with this in place of an iPad? Did it feel like a high quality piece of hardware? Because let's be perfectly clear, the original Kindle Fire kind of feels like a piece of crap.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a cheap piece of crap, and like I get why, but like, what do these feel? What do these feel like?
I will say that we were running around after the event ended trying to find the devices to get hands-on and stuff, and they were all kind of weirdly hidden.
They do that.
I walked around and
I've seen that before.
I had just played with the Fire HD for a couple minutes, and then walked away and came back and accidentally picked up a Fire and knew immediately, and I was like, oh, this feels awful. So like that. that says something to me. Like, and it seems much better. We haven't actually. They're weirdly reticent to let us touch the 8.9 inch. They'll show it to us, and like I touched the back of it, but we can't actually spend any real time with it.
I have this image of you at the event,
like, and the 7-inch feels really nice.
Yeah. So what's the difference? I mean, between the difference in feel between the regular Fire and the 7-inch Fire HD, are there any other like major differences between the two besides the resolution and the build quality?
I mean, I didn't notice anything in terms of like UI. I think the design's obviously the same. It's much smoother. I remember when we played with the Kindle Fire, the original, it would still stutter. And, update after update after update. This felt really smooth.
Yeah.
And then design-wise, yeah, it's definitely a more compelling tablet. It actually feels good.
Yeah.
Like it's got this nice like textured back. It's very soft.
Yeah. How is the weight and the balance? Because the Nexus 7 is really great. The Kindle Fire is terrible. So how is the Fire HD? Did it just like feel better? Did it feel lighter and better in the hand?
It did. Like, it markedly felt better. We had the Nexus 7 with us. Just kind of doing a weight comparison. It's pretty close, at least, on a qualitative analysis, just holding both. It's clear, like, we went after, like, that 7-inch design. It's probably one of the better ones we've seen, for sure.
I think it actually feels a lot like the Nexus 7. It has the same kind of tapered back. One of the things I never liked about the original Fire was that it's really blocky, and they have like the rounded corners, but it still feels bigger than it actually is because it's so kind of sharp. And this is much more sort of soft and small, and it feels a lot better. It feels a lot like a Kindle now.
It's a very compelling consumer product. I mean, we kind of knew this last year that Amazon's strategy is to release a really crappy piece of hardware, see how it goes, and then like Kindle 2 was so much better than Kindle 1, and this is clearly the same kind of thing. This is actually a compelling piece of hardware on its own merit.
Wait, so one thing that I thought was really interesting was Bezos opened up and said, Android tablets suck, nobody uses them, but our tablets are better, and then they never said the word Android again, as far as I could tell.
Oh, yeah.
So what's the software like? Is it something way different? I mean, we saw the leaks, and they look different, and it looks like this is still even farther different from Android than anything else. What's it like?
And just to piggyback on that do you know what version Android these are running?
I'm not sure. Did you find out?
They won't tell me. I'm sure that we can figure this out once we get our hands on one of them, but for now and they don't want to say Android.
Yeah.
Like he distanced himself from Android by saying Android tablets suck.
There are on-screen keys, like ice cream sandwich and above. Yeah. So it's probably at least that. There's a notification pane, which they had last time. They're still using the carousel UX. Again, it's okay. It definitely feels better.
Yeah.
Definitely it performs better, but it's still.
So what are the?
Like that.
So they had. They said they had like a new email client, a new, some other new stuff, right? The kid stuff. Is that any good? Because to me, what was interesting about the Fire was it was a terrible productivity device because the email sucked, and there was like the browser was okay, right. But now they're like coming after the iPad harder. So is that stuff better?
Get into the email.
It's the email thing felt. I don't know. I'm underwhelmed. The Gmail experience on Android is just so good that anything else. This felt kind of like the native client on an Android phone, which if you use, I'm so sorry. But like the kid stuff, the Kindle Free Time, I think is what it's called, is actually pretty cool. And like all this stuff, it feels really nothing like Android. And it's kind of cool. Like, it feels like Amazon. They have all these apps that look and feel similar and work similar, and like it feels like a device that is a full operating system. It doesn't feel like it's based on Android. It's just, this is Amazon.
Yeah.
Right. And to the point, like, we tried going kind of deep into the system. We couldn't find the Android bits. Like, they've done a very good job of masking that very far down.
Even more so than
something they needed to do.
Even more so than on the last Fire. You think that they've kind of. Because there is still some kind of, hints of Android in there. Do you think they've gone further now in getting rid of it completely?
I mean, there's still some things that are obviously Android, like you said, the notification pull down. Like, as soon as you pull it down, you're like, oh, this is an Android device. But it feels, it feels very different. And you never enter a menu where, or at least in the few minutes that we've had, we've never seen something that's like, oh, this is the Android video player, or this is the Android settings. It feels much more complete now.
So what are the tablet apps like on the bigger tablet? Because, Android tablet apps, they sort of work okay on 7-inch devices. They work okay on Nexus 7. But Amazon's never asked for tablet apps, and now they've got a bigger screen. What is that okay? I mean, that seems like the biggest danger zone.
We didn't get to see that much of that. They're pretty
because it sucks.
reluctant
They're
to
not
let
showing
us.
it to you.
Another reason we couldn't touch 8.9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I think that's one of the things that Jeff Bezos didn't talk about was, here's what we're doing in the App Store that's really important, and here's why we think this is great. Like, he talks about all this other stuff and kind of talks his way around apps. And there's all the content. You can buy all the stuff. You can get books, but I'm like, I just wanted to raise my hand and be like, how is there a Twitter? I'd like to tweet from my Kindle. And
You can tweet. It's just super ugly.
Is there a Twitter?
Yeah, and that's I honestly don't know the answer.
So what's the overall sense out of this? Is Amazon? We were talking about this in the office a lot. Are they? It doesn't feel like they're competing dead on with Apple. It feels like they're saying we can make hardware that's as compelling as Apple, but you need a you still need to buy a laptop, right? And then you can have a Fire to consume content with. Whereas Apple seems to be saying eventually you will just have an iPad. Is that the sense you're getting, or is it something different?
I mean, it's kind of like what we did when we talked about before going to this. Like, Amazon is a content delivery machine, and every piece of hardware, no matter how nice it looks, kind of toward that end goal. I mean, even though they upgrade email and did kind of the kid-friendly stuff, it still feels like that's the ultimate goal for them. It's not a productivity device. Other than email, which is kind of a weird thing, I don't see any strides to make anything else than, an Amazon service.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it felt to me like the whole pitch was like, we sell you everything you could possibly want to buy, and this is the best way to get all of those things ever.
Right. It's like Bezos said, we'll sell this to you at value because we want you to keep using it and keep buying our stuff. He was very explicit about that. So if you buy the Fire now, you're still buying apps, 5 years from now, even 2 years from now. I mean, that's where the profit comes in for Amazon. That's where they want to make their money.
All right, so I guess I kind of want to know, do you think, was this event a success for them? What's your estimation? You were there on the as it happened. And do you feel like, are they, I mean, has this solidified their place as this, in this, whatever the post-PC world is? I mean, even though Nilay is saying like they don't want to be post-PC, was the event a success? Are they like now at the scale of Apple in terms of doing these, like doing actual products? And are they, is this now second place? They're second place in tablets, right? So like it kind of has changed the dynamic. I kind of want to hear what your take is on that. That was not really much of a question.
Yeah.
Just like give me some meandering thoughts on your takeaways.
Well,
from
this is very novel
from the day's event.
You both look very handsome.
Yes.
I mean, you could say they're second place without trying to go after the iPad. That's the tape delay. I just figured it out.
There it was.
Got it down perfectly. They hit second place without trying to be that productivity suite that the iPad has become just a year after it kind of came out. And I think that's the point. I think Android tried to go after the iPad by being something, by going one-to-one on features. Amazon just said, we've got all these services, we've got this name brand for content. I think it's what they want to do. I think they want to serve that complementary role where you might have both. You might actually work with your iPad, but you'll still watch movies and read Kindle books, regardless of the device. But hopefully it's a Fire.
So,
I think that, I think that's almost like a double-edged sword for Amazon, because if they're going to come out and say, we have the best device, but if you don't think we have the best device, we have all our stuff on everybody else's device too. Right. So I don't see this as I wouldn't recommend that you buy a Fire over an iPad based on what I've seen today anyway. But that's in large part because all the Amazon stuff you want, you can get on your iPad. I think the Kindle Paperwhite is amazing.
I want to ask you about that. What's going on with that screen? How does that work?
I mean, it feels like, looking at it, we had the $79 Kindle next to it. It looks like the exact same screen, except they just have this now, very well done front lit technology. I mean, it was very. What do you think? You played with the Nook light more than I did, so
the thing I remember about the Nook light was it was really bright up at the top, and then there were peaks and valleys of brightness as you would go down the screen, and this felt really even. and looked really good. And it was interesting that he said during the press conference that a lot of people who try it never want to turn the light off. And I kind of get that because it looks really good. And with the light off, it doesn't look as good. Like the Paperwhite thing really only works when the light is on. When it's not on, it looks.
So is it actually
marginally better than the other?
They said they increased the resolution. Is that noticeable? Because Kindle is like kind of rough. I mean, it's fine, but it's not great. And I mean, it seems like increased resolution would help, but I don't really believe it.
It seemed to help on small text. Like there was one over here that had text on like the smallest setting, and on the Kindle that I have now, it's barely readable at that point, and you're losing a lot of pixels, and it just doesn't look very good. And that was noticeably sharper. But at any normal size and resolution, it seemed like it's probably a little bit better, but it didn't seem like it would be a giant leap forward in the experience.
All right, well, I know you guys have a plane to catch. You got to get back here. We have a lot of stuff to do tomorrow, and we have yet to talk about Motorola.
Yeah,
right.
So look,
which is very exciting.
So I just want to say, great job at the event today. Killer job
yeah,
on.
You're gonna talk about Motorola. Look at the time. We gotta go.
Great job on the event today. Really killer live blogging and great coverage all around. And have a safe flight, and we'll see you guys when you get back to New York.
See you soon.
Thanks
for
guys.
having us.
Later, boys.
Wonderful, beautiful men. Beautiful, wonderful men. Can they still hear me?
Yeah.
I think they can. Good. Here's what I want to know. Why didn't they have mics? Can anybody tell me?
They had their live mics.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, they did. I saw live mic.
No, they
Yeah.
didn't.
No.
They were using a phone.
No, they were listening to us. I know exactly what was going on.
Well, they sounded like they were on a phone.
No, they were listening to us on a phone.
Those weren't
because-
lav mics. There's no way those were lav mics. Were they lav mics, John? No, they weren't. Oh, one
A
lav
single
mic
lav
for
mic.
2 people.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there was a problem. Okay, good.
Yeah, but they weren't. The phone was just a monitor back
but I stand correct.
to cut down lag.
I stand.
You stand. I stand somewhat correct.
All right, let's. No, wait. Is there other news besides Motorola?
There
Not
must
really.
be.
I mean,
Not
there's
really,
other
no.
news, but like this, there's this story today, this iPhone 5 story. I don't know if you heard this. I don't want to go into it. I guess.
Well, just to wrap up the Amazon thing. I mean,
Well, let me go into it. Oh, go ahead.
the Amazon thing to me is we just wrote an editorial earlier this week about what Amazon is doing in tablets.
Yeah, I
And
retweeted. I was like, oh, this is still true. Tweet.
Yeah,
It's actually more true.
Yeah.
like Android tablets, the bigger ones don't work.
No.
Like, nobody buys them. They're not a useful class of devices. There are no apps that make that platform great, right? And
I mean-
that's been their problem since the first day.
And it's not. And now it's like the real loser is Google. In
Google
this.
is.
I mean, I mean,
like Amazon just took all of Google's work. They've completely co-opted it. Now they're not even saying it's Android to get. Like Google is even getting the branding back out of it, like the good feeling about Android. And we were. I mean, I think what's really interesting is that because the market lags so far behind the update schedule, it's not a big deal that these are an ice cream sandwich and not jelly bean.
Yeah.
right.
Like at all.
Well, we suspect they're on ice cream sandwich.
Well,
the bigger,
whatever. I mean,
the bigger deal is it's like, you know, Amazon gets all of the effort of Android.
yeah.
They get all of the developer effort. Now, if they're on ICS, let's say
Well,
presumably,
there's some overhead. I mean, like getting an app into the Amazon App Store requires a different set
yeah,
of
but you can
requirements.
code. Yeah,
and
but you can code for.
it's just overhead.
Yeah,
It's
but like
not
90% of your work is going to be
Yeah.
on Android, and then you're like, okay, I'll make a
and
few
it,
tweaks.
and if that ends up being the bigger market, especially for tablets, then you're going to do the work, right?
right.
But I'm just saying, like Google, the Nexus 7, they're selling it at break even or close to, right?
Yeah.
And it's designed to do exactly what Amazon is doing with its store.
Yeah.
It's designed to make you buy stuff.
Right,
from
but
Google.
there's
But the only problem is that they have no compelling marketplace.
Yeah, they've got Google Play.
I mean, Google Play is compelling insofar as like any marketplace is compelling because it has stuff.
Right.
But it is like in comparison to Amazon or what Apple offers.
Right. And
it's
I think the
kinda
Nexus
like-
7
No,
is
so
great.
The
I mean, we
Nexus
all
7
have
is,
one,
is the
right?
most
I mean,
I
successful
love it.
Android, like pure Android tablet besides a Kindle because not because it's a great tablet, because it feels like it's just a really big, good Android phone.
Yeah, it's an iPod Touch. That's what I keep saying.
Well-
it is. Like, there's no getting around it. What you know what it's good at? It's good at running phone apps from Google Play.
Well-
It's not. There are some apps, the Google specific apps that have been tweaked for that screen size, which is great because
Gmail.
tweaking things for that screen
browser,
size
And
is great.
their work at tweaking Gmail for that screen size is horrendous.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's like
I think it's better than any other
passable.
Gmail
Well, that's
tablet
true.
experience you have.
I
right,
agree.
but I'm saying like what it is to me is finally Android has an answer to the iPod Touch. It is not an answer to the iPad. It doesn't work that way.
I see what you're saying.
It's like I
I
come home and I go
But
through.
I wouldn't read on an iPod Touch.
Well, because the screen isn't like, right,
Right.
but like there are no 3.5-inch Android phones
But I'm saying
anymore
I
either.
do read,
like,
ironically, often with the Kindle app. In fact, almost always with the Kindle app on the Nexus 7,
Well,
which actually
sure.
just proves like Amazon's point.
Yeah.
Right.
Although they won't put their Amazon Store app on the Nexus 7. That's still not compatible.
Well,
really?
Yeah.
I-
Well, no,
I've never
I
even.
think they just updated.
Oh, did it finally update?
Yeah, I think
I've
they
been
did.
waiting.
For me,
I
that's
think they
always
did.
like,
I need to buy
why do I need to?
Jujubes. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like it's the same. It's the same apps, right? Like the thing for me is that's great. Google has this thing with this tablet that finally addresses a hole in the market. But the hole in the market they need to chase is the iPad and the big tablets. Not you can finally
but they
buy
have to do
a cheap great.
They have
Android
to do
device.
something that Amazon actually did today, which was give a reason why you should choose their product over the iPad. I mean, I will say this: they have a $499 version, 32 gig, $499 version of the Fire HD.
That thing is just to prove a point. Nobody's going to buy that.
But one no,
We should
but-
talk about the pricing.
No,
point.
but okay.
That's interesting.
But yeah, so with that, it's a 4G version LTE, and they offer for $50 a year,
A year, $4 a month or whatever. That is.
4G service for 250 megs
Yeah.
a month, which is crap.
Well, it's
Nothing.
designed to like check your email in a pinch.
Yeah, but like,
Yeah.
but you could check your email in a pinch, or download a book, or do the stuff that you need to do that's not like downloading movies, TV, or music for the most part.
the things that the thing is designed to do.
But I mean, when you're in at the airport,
Yeah, no,
and you're
I-
boarding a plane, you want to get a book, and there's no Wi-Fi, or you want to like download a few songs or whatever, like
Or
you wanna
download a
check-
movie and
you wanna
blow
check your
through your
email.
allowance.
You're in the cab from the airport to your hotel. Like I can see myself doing these things, and it's like $50 a year. Like that would actually make you go, well, I was going to get the iPad 2 for $400. I spent another $100, well, ultimately $150. I get like, all my Prime stuff. Plus, I can,
That
I mean, there
that
is
device,
an
I
actual
don't, there
reason you might
maybe.
consider it.
If that plan was available on all the Kindles, sure, I'd buy it. At $4.99.
Yeah, you would
No,
definitely.
I would say like
yeah.
it's an actual attempt, right?
Yeah.
At $4.99,
It's a lot of money.
but it's a lot of money and it's not a
But they
terribly useful
at
plan.
least have made some, I find, like relatively compelling argument.
Yeah, everyone said, "What are they
I
going to do?"
think that when you look at the
We've been talking.
$199
So we were wrong about the phone coming out today. The phone, I know for a fact.
Well, you said it
I will.
could.
I will. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
you weren't- you
100%
didn't-
confident that they are working on a phone.
There is
Right.
a phone.
We were a little bit confident, 70% confident that they were going to announce it today. So we put it out there.
They didn't want to do 5 products.
We were wrong. No, whatever. We were wrong.
It would have cut into Bezos' time talking about Mimo. and
Yeah, he was
other
like,
stuff.
I got
You
this
don't wanna
Wi-Fi
lose it.
presentation.
Actually, the truth is they had a phone thing where in the Mimo space. They had to cut it for some reason. They're like, well, we'll just go on about the Wi-Fi for a little while.
Anyway,
But
no, but I think the 4G stuff is them. It's obviously AT&T. The 4G logo they're showing is
yes,
AT&T's
definitely,
logo.
Yeah.
definitely.
I think this is them working with a carrier partner saying, let's try out this on a very niche product
Yeah.
and see if this kind of pricing works and people are attracted to it. And that sets the stage for them doing it.
But I do think
But
they have.
the important products here are $199 Kindle Fire 7 HD. That's a terrible name. Kindle
Fire
HD 7?
HD
No,
7.
it's just HD. Oh, they actually put
They
that.
have-
Because the 8.9 is also an HD.
Yeah. It's bad.
Yeah.
And they could have come up with
They haven't
better
learned.
branding.
Hey,
for
at
that.
least there's no Maxx version.
And the important one is Kindle Fire HD with 4G LTE. That's the full name of the product.
Yep.
The width is in there. Anyway,
but the
so
$199 and the $299.
and the $299.
$299
is a-
8.9 inch is a fairly compelling.
That is like
Yeah.
that's
Pretty compelling.
gunning for the iPad. That's saying you can buy this thing,
well,
and what you're
but-
going to do on it is watch videos.
But when Apple introduces the iPad Mini, their price point has to be $299 or lower
sure,
Yeah.
because they've got a $399 product.
yeah,
That's the iPad 2.
yeah, got it.
I was going to keep saying things you agree with me. They have
Here are some
they have a
facts.
$499 product.
Their CEO is named Tim Cook.
It's the new iPad.
Yeah.
They have a CEO.
Yes.
So they got to go lower than $399.
Who knows what they're going to do? But I'm saying,
Well, but they're doing everybody.
Amazon
says,
they're fighting this battle on two fronts, right? They're saying to Nexus 7 customers, at $199 you get a better product. I guarantee you it has a better screen than Nexus 7.
Yeah.
Nexus 7 screen is like just okay.
Yes.
So you're going to do a lot of content consumption on this cheap tablet. Buy hours, better screen, bigger ecosystem.
So wait,
here's the thing.
I'm sorry. Wait, it's $299 and then $499.
Yeah.
Why didn't they make it $399?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I just feel like because the $100 is the kind of range where you go, you're hovering over the buy it now for the $299. You're like, well, I could get it with 4G for another $100.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just
Right.
go for it. But another 200 is like a bridge too far, as far as I'm concerned.
I'm telling you, they just wanted to prove the point that they can play in that game.
High end.
Yeah. Nobody can ever say, well, you can't. You can get the iPad with 4G.
I would like to see the person who. Well, you know, the 4G.
We've been saying about
the
the next
4G
expensive
iPad
is
is
another-
4G iPad is $629.
Yeah.
But it's
So-
there, right? I mean, I wrote a piece about carrier saying, look at the Nexus 7 and the Surface. They couldn't get the carrier deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody can say that about
So
Amazon.
we've been
No.
talking about like they're taking on Apple. So like they're going to fight Apple with these products, but it's not because they want to take Apple's land. They want to take land on the other side.
Yeah.
They want to sell their services. They want to
Right.
sell you toilet paper.
Yeah.
And they want to sell
yeah.
tablets that help to do that because why not? We can do it.
Dude, they showed a demo of in-game, like you're playing a game, and then it pops up that you want to buy a new character in the game, but for slightly more money, you buy the new character in the game, and you get the action figures sent to you in the mail.
I mean,
'Cause they're
this is-
Amazon. That is like next level.
We were
Like,
talking
that's
about this at
crazy.
the office. This is not Amazon trying to be Apple.
Yeah.
This is Amazon trying to be more like Amazon.
Yeah,
and their
and the
business
piece
is
that they
selling
were missing-
content and stuff.
Right, and the piece that they were missing, and I think that's why they spent so much time talking about Wi-Fi antennas and had the perfect amount of storage space for a tablet, which was just insane. Bezos spent like
8 gigabytes is rest in peace.
Yeah, RIP 8 gigabytes.
when,
What?
when he's like,
I
he
thought
was
it
like,
was just a-
you guys, 16 gigabytes, like it was a huge deal. The entire Verge office just erupted in laughter.
I mean,
What?
I think the funny. Feel like the gravestone was just like a total. It was like one of those Apple style jokes. Like they
Yeah.
always do stuff like that in their keynotes.
Yeah.
Where they have some like funny graphic. And I think this was just like, where can we stick one of those? And like, okay, this is good. We're gonna kill the 8 gigabyte model.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I mean, it was just like. Anyway, I think that they're proving what they were trying to do is prove that they can build hardware as good as Apple, because that's been the knock.
Well,
that there is
that remains.
innovative, because they put up a slide that said hardware is still really important to our ecosystem. Yeah. I mean, they were on a mission to say we've built something as innovative as the iPhone or as the iPad.
They didn't say that.
They not in so many words.
They intimated it.
But it was a very. I mean,
All right,
these,
we gotta look. We gotta wrap. We gotta
should
wrap
go to
this up. We
Motorola.
gotta have a Motorola.
They released phones.
I mean,
wait,
I couldn't. Go ahead.
One thing that we missed: all these products are ad supported. They all have ads in the lock.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
They're all cheaper because of the ads, which is crazy. And I have a $79 Kindle that has
Did you say
ads.
they
and I
have
don't
ads on the lock screen?
Yeah, the
All
same-
of them.
all of them.
Even the $499 model.
Yep.
Looks that way.
That's a little gross.
I don't care.
Ah.
I mean, like, great.
I mean, you're gonna have an iPad.
But I
You're
mean,
a
I have a
card-carrying Apple
I'm
fan.
ordering the Paperwhite Kindle. I mean, like today.
The
like,
Paperwhite is looks pretty cool if you're into reading.
Yeah, I'll be getting the Paperwhite. And
Laura actually put up this is my next Paperwhite Kindle. Like while we're on.
Oh, is that-
really?
It
is
just
she?
went up. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, I get that. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Well, turns out I know Laura too.
I know a little bit about her, and that makes a lot of sense. All right, can we please talk about Motorola?
Yeah.
So they this is their first big event since Google officially acquired them. So Eric Schmidt came up and introduced the CEO of Motorola, who then came up. Actually, no. Before all that happened, they had a band.
Oh my God!
The band
Yeah, it was awful.
called the
band was
Kin,
called
which was
the
amazing.
Kin.
Oh, and
And they
were
got
really
they got
bad.
off the stage and began serenading the audience, walking through the
Trying to
aisles.
get the audience to sing along.
They
It was
played
so
for like 45
embarrassing.
minutes, and then they needed to take the junk off the stage so that the CEOs could stand there and look awkward. And so they like walked up and down the aisles and tried to get us to sing along with them.
It was
And
horrible.
It was really
It
terrible.
was one of the worst things I've ever seen, and we've seen some pretty bad stuff at events.
Yeah.
It was extremely cringeworthy. Like, I felt bad for this
So
guy.
before the event even started, they had the names of all the press people streaming across the monitors, welcome, Dieter Bohn.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, what are you doing?
We're Google and we know everything about you.
Yeah. They're like, here's what you were browsing last night.
that is really menacing.
So,
All right.
so
So they announced some stuff.
Okay,
Let's go through it.
so we've got the
Eric Schmidt goes up.
Eric Schmidt goes up, and then he's like, "Hey, history of phones is great, and here's the next step.
We think phones are cool.
We think phones are cool."
Yeah.
It was basically just there to like acknowledge that Google owns them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very strange because you don't typically buy a company that acknowledges its rich history, because the reason you're not buying the company is because their history had failed them.
Right.
Well,
And-
Motorola,
but-
no,
but-
no, you don't make an
here's their line.
acquisition
Here's
like
their
that.
line. Google's history of innovation and Motorola's history of engineering.
Yeah.
Put
well, no,
those together.
dude, it's an accusation, but it's one that was borne out by Eric Schmidt being like, well, this company needed was great leadership. And I'm proud to say we found that leader. And it's like, not Sanjay Jha.
Yeah.
Like, let's bring up the other guy that we put in to lead this company.
Anyhow,
Who's
so
been
he
there
gets,
for 90 days,
he
which
gets-
means that everything that they showed was like he like showed up and like they were in production. So like this is Motorola after Google, but it's also like it's the stuff that Motorola has been working on for the past year.
Yeah.
right, and it's also like the very least they could do.
Yep.
It's like they're back to RAZR era Motorola is what's going on.
Yeah.
Here's what they announced:
Yeah.
the RAZR HD,
Yep.
the RAZR
HD
Max HD,
No,
or
HD
HD
Max.
Max,
4G
and the RAZR M,
The RAZR M. Yeah.
which is like the mid range RAZR.
4G.
it's like the low end.
4G LTE, all of them.
So we don't know so I mean the RAZR M is $99, and basically they took RAZR and they refreshed it, but it's like
Right.
it's basically
So
the same
1280 screens. So it's 1280 by 720 screens
on the HD version.
on the HDs,
Yep.
and then 960 by whatever crap they've been doing.
Right.
It's
All
supposed to-
pentile.
Right. All running ICS
Yep.
with Motorola's garbagey ass skin.
No. The skin is great.
Yeah, it's good.
It's
Did
really
you see the
good.
lock screen thing? When you swipe to the left, you get like. I always put all my settings on the
They
first
started
screen to
this
the
with
left.
the Atrix
I've played with the
HD.
latest Motorola skin.
It's ice cream sandwich.
They make arbitrary changes
to what?
to icons, to
Okay,
some of the functionality.
it is ugly as sin,
To
but the
wallpapers.
functionality is the same.
I'm sorry. There is no explaining arbitrary changes that look worse to me that is going to convince me that it is somehow an improvement. If they improve the lock screen, that's great, because the lock screen on ICS and on Jelly Bean stinks and has not been improved and sucks. If you need to use a lock on it, by the way, totally freaking useless. It's fine. I'm not upset about it.
They added a quick settings screen that's really cool on
like
the
that.
left
I
side
really
of
like
the home
it.
screen, and then
I just feel like the things
quick
they
actions are
added. I
still
feel like
there.
the things they added could have basically been apps, and they could have like left the beauty.
Oh, they added apps.
Oh, I know
Yeah,
they
yeah.
did.
Yeah.
I know they added.
You know,
apps.
Verizon is preloading Amazon apps on all its mid-range phones.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
Cool.
look, they showed an image of this phone when who was up on stage?
Probably Woodside. New CEO.
Woodside was up on stage. They showed an image. I tweeted it.
Yeah.
It is so fundamentally gross.
Yeah.
It is so
Wait,
ugly.
which one?
The one of the wallpaper with like the droid eye and
yeah.
the electric bolts coming in, and then like their shitty icons that they design, that somehow they think like are better than the Google icons, which they're not.
No.
Like they're ugly. You are bad designers. They should be fired. They stink at their job.
Wow.
And just like their whole extra bits of skinning just make it look like it looks
It's arbitrary.
so ugly.
It's change for change's sake, but
Look,
it's-
I like
it's-
Motorola's products. I just want to say,
Yeah.
I like Motorola's products. I actually am excited about them putting HD and ICS and Jelly Bean by the end of the year, they say, on these devices. The RAZR battery life is out. The Maxx battery life is outstanding.
So you know what, one thing they are doing-
to couple that with the same body size but a larger screen is a huge deal, and I'm very into it. I would be pre-ordering right now.
You just pre-order the developer edition.
Yeah.
Put stock on it.
Well,
That's what they're making them.
no, it's not stock. I don't think.
It's still not stock.
I'm not sure. They
Come
weren't
on.
clear on
What
that.
developer edition?
Okay, so Verizon Android phones ship with a lock bootloader so that you can't hack custom ROM into it.
No,
and play
those
around
aren't
with it.
stock. They just don't have a lock bootloader.
So yeah, they're just making, and so you can buy the developer edition unsubsidized. You can only buy it at the full price.
Okay.
Around the same time.
I'll do that if they have it. If it's stock Jelly Bean or stock
So
ICS.
I mean, I've been used to like Sense and TouchWiz, and compared to those,
no,
like,
it's way lighter.
They
I
don't
agree.
mess with the
No,
contacts because I don't have that
No.
crappy multitasking.
I agree. They pulled back considerably on the last iteration of their skin.
Yeah.
So much that I believe everything they've done is essentially arbitrary.
Right.
And, and arbitrary changes to an excellently designed OS is offensive to my design sensibilities.
So we got to talk about the screens.
Okay.
Because they're still AMOLED. The RAZR M screen is miserable.
Pentile. Yeah.
The RAZR HD screens, I didn't have a problem with like the Christmas, but I mean I've been using.
Can we get that
Galaxy
image
Nexus
up? Please
too.
put that image up that you have up.
But you know, they talked about their color fidelity, and their idea of color fidelity is
this looks
cranking
great.
up just
This is great. This looks nice.
This is just
Here's what's nice about your
so blue. Here's what's nice about your
so
design.
bright.
Can we get a hands-on photo?
Look
of this?
how oversaturated.
Hold on. Can
this
we talk about this for a second? Get the image back up, please. Get that image back up. Just put it back. Okay.
Right.
Let's talk about design for a second. Number one, the wallpaper.
Yeah, you can blame that on the
on.
thing you see at the bottom of the phone.
Number two, the design of these circular widgets, which does not really match the aesthetic of their icon design, which does not really match the aesthetic of Jelly Bean or Ice Cream Sandwich. Their icon design also doesn't match those things. Their icons are overly cartoony. They're skeuomorphs, but they're also like very cartoony. They're also like just crappily designed, like crappy icons from like the internet in 1996.
Yeah.
And this is just one very basic screen. This is just one little look into it.
Yeah.
They changed the back, home, and multitasking icon slightly.
Yeah.
Just enough that they made them like more.
They're more droidy.
They're more like Terminator-ish.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, I don't know if it. I didn't get a chance to see if it has the pop-up widgets anymore. That was one of the best things about the skin on the Atrix HD. I can't pronounce.
I'm sure
Atrix
it does have
8D.
whatever it has.
You could flip it up and you like flip up on an icon and it pops up the widget.
To me, all that is RAM eating poorly coded garbage that Motorola put into its phone. I mean, if I wanted Motorola to make software, I would. I don't want Motorola to make software.
Well, so they're Google now. I mean, so this is
they're not Google though.
They're starting to be. They're promising they're going to be.
I like how they have Schmidt come up and they're like.
And then they ran a video.
No, they're like,
so happy together.
Yeah,
oh
it's like, so happy together. And they're like, there's a firewall. And then they're like, we're so happy together, but there's a firewall where it matters in the product.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? Put the firewall between Eric Schmidt and your presentations, and remove the firewall from your software and your hardware.
I asked them, are you guys going to ship stock Android devices now? And they're like, well, you know, if we happen to get in the Nexus program again in the open competition for who gets to have a Nexus device, we will. But otherwise, you know, we think we're making improvements on Android. We're doing what's best for the consumer.
It's terrible.
Yeah, they're wrong.
So Dieter and I have this theory, and we've been working on a piece. So I don't want to get too into it.
Don't get too into it.
But I think there's, I think the story of Motorola. There's so much to unpack. Motorola has been the puppet of Google and Verizon ever since the first ever Droid.
That's right.
And that, like, Google made like their devil's bargain with Verizon.
By the way, that Droid stock.
Yeah. Google made. Well, that was. I mean, if you look at it,
and then I believe never updated.
Yeah.
but that device changed Motorola. It changed Verizon.
I wish they'd have learned a lesson.
It changed Android. That was the device that was directly competitive with the iPhone.
Yes.
And that was a deal between Google and Verizon. That was Google saying, we will back off net neutrality if you push Android as a competitor to the iPhone.
And they were like,
what sucker can we get to build this phone?
What sucker needs help?
And they picked Motorola. And Motorola is synonymous with the Droid brand on Verizon. They work, every product they make is at the behest of Verizon. And these products are puppets to Verizon.
But to Motorola's credit, like, they actually do make really nice hardware, and they do have engineering chops. I mean, their phones sound great. They also have really loud speakers. The earpieces sound really good.
But you know what? None of that stuff made them any money.
Giant batteries.
They had to sell themselves
great batteries.
to Google.
The screens are, but you know, like, I could live
the
with
screens are miserable.
I could live with a bad HD screen if it had stock JB on it.
You do every day.
I know. Here it is, right here. I'm living this nightmare. Well, it's at my point. You know what? Software trumps hardware.
I'm just saying, like,
well, I mean, what's tragic about that whole narrative that you just told is Google didn't need to give up on net neutrality. Verizon at the time was desperate for somebody to save them from RIM. because
Yeah.
they had no answer for the
Yeah.
iPhone
And
except
from
for the
the
BlackBerry.
Ver-
They had,
Ver-
they
yeah.
had the BlackBerry Storm. That's what they were.
Yeah,
gunning
Verizon's
for.
Remember the
first
Storm?
thing. Let's take what sucker can we get us to build us an iPhone competitor? And Rumor's like, yeah, sure. Here's
Yeah.
SurePress. And it, like, I'm just saying, Motorola has always been.
All right.
It's had two masters.
All
this
right,
whole
let's
time.
go. What else?
That's it.
That's
We have
the
a whole
story.
We
thing
got to
coming
wrap
on
up.
that.
I got a lot of work to do. We got a
We've
big,
been-
we got a big
we've been
day
arguing
tomorrow.
about it
We got a
for
big
2
day
days.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's nothing. Thank God.
Tomorrow's something.
What is something?
Friday.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff going down on Friday.
Giant events.
No events. Personal, inter office stuff.
Oh,
That's
you-
what I'm referring to. We're going to have events together.
We're having
Yeah.
events in the office.
Is there a ping pong tournament?
No.
No.
All right, that's the Vergecast for the week. If you'd like to get in touch with us, you could email us at vergecast@theverge.com. You can find us on Twitter. We're at Verge. Also, I'm Joshua Topolsky. Nilay is Reckless. These are Twitter handles, by the way. And Dieter Bone is why am I blanking on it now?
Backlon.
Backlon. Thank you. I know your Twitter handle well because you have a great story you'd like to tell about it. Ask him about his Twitter handle. Backlon. Backlon.
People are very mad at you for saying that Motorola should fire people in this economy. Just want to let you know.
Sorry,
Yeah.
people who do bad work at their job shouldn't get to keep doing the job.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a kind of fundamental. That's kind of a fundamental way the economy keeps moving forward. Is if you put the right people in the right positions and get rid of the people who are the wrong people in the wrong positions. They could be demoted. They don't have to be fired. They can be demoted or moved.
Yeah.
Put them in mail filing. Put them in the mail room.
Yeah.
Put them in some job that doesn't require design skills.
Yeah.
Like
They
I don't
probably
know.
did let the engineers design the icon. That's the kind of
Yeah,
place
or they
Motorola is.
just bought an icon pack on like some sort of like line art.
They
like,
put out like a call, like
yeah,
I
they
want
just
this
need an
design.
icon pack and
Yeah.
anyhow, and what else would I have to say? Oh yeah, you can email us. You can leave a message and comments, which I'm sure you'll do about our video player, and that's it. Or Twitter.
Go away.
It's been a really long week.
Leave this place.
It's been a really long week. So that's Vergecast for this week. We'll be back next week. Oh, by the way, this time next week, we will be talking about
The iPhone.
the new iPhone.
Boom.
Yeah.
That's right. Apple event Wednesday,
Yep.
the September 12th. 10 a.m. PT, 1 p.m. ET.
Yeah. Sometime in Europe.
Some European.
Don't even pick one of them, because if you do, you'll pick the wrong
Some
one.
European
It's always
time,
the wrong
and,
one.
and I think that our plans are, by the way, that Nilay and I are going to be out there, and we're going to have some live analysis following the event,
Yeah.
which should be fun. So
Yeah.
you'll be able to tune in for that. Anyhow, will be a very interesting conversation next week.
Yeah.
Okay, that's our show. As always, I wish you and yours the very best for the upcoming week, the upcoming days and weeks ahead as you live out your final moments here on the planet before the destruction of the 2012
What?
end of days 2012 end of days destruction.
Rock and roll. Paul.